So it's about 100 degrees out here in Las Vegas. And what I find amazing when we start talking about our understanding of public education, as we all need to understand the nature of compulsory laws, because this makes it mandatory. So the district attorney can be very engaged in your life once you have a child. But prior to that, they really have limited way in because it's not about you. Oh yeah, if you're truant in school, the district attorney can have a way into your life and your family's life. And your parents can be pushed into a system of, nightmares. But what we don't understand is the amount that's given to the state to ensure that access happens for us. Because each child generates $1, just like everyone who receives public services generate dollars to help ensure those services happen. And who pays for that? The federal government. They actually pay for penitentiary time or jail time for federal crimes, and they actually pay for juvenile as they pay the money for the health and human services. But when we're talking about what do we see, that's the problem. We don't see anything. And because we cannot measure the benefit and being denied access, we're just being straight out just denied the ability to share concerns about failed services. And just denied access when it really comes down to being at the table when they determine to use the money. But see, the money is all about people in poverty. And it's confusing as, Clark County got the agreement that every child will get a free lunch. And that was how they were determining the use of the federal dollars. So what other determination are they putting in its place if they're not using poverty as an index? I would just like to know. Because really what they're doing is using some of their other money to pay for the lunches for the children who don't really qualify, to make it equitable. But irrelevant, as we cannot measure the services that are being provided by grade level proficiency. Like, where are the kids after the first grade? What happens in the third grade? How many children are actually moving to the sixth grade? And I don't care what color they are. And how many children reach the ninth grade and still enrolled? Because I understand that there are a lot of kids that just drop out of school in the 8th grade. I mean, Nipsey did, because he said he could make money and put food on his mama's table. And the public school system was just going to get the money. And they're going to get the money whether your child goes to school or not. They're going to get the money regardless of what happens for the people in your community. So when people can just totally ignore your concerns, it's concerning. It should be concerning for every African American, as you witness several African Americans standing in front of Clark County Administration Building, attempting to understand why their voices are not being heard. And they're not being heard because simply, it's okay to abuse black people. No one's going to be held accountable for that. As we can all understand, George Floyd's murder was a public murder, just like hanging. But then when they will punish you for sharing a picture of black bodies hanging, because that happened to us in America, but they will punish you so you can't stream on Facebook. That's some insane stuff going on. It's called a dual standard. And they have a dual standard here, as we cannot measure the benefit of the public services that are mandated, compulsory in laws. I mean, the district attorney certainly can remove you from your home. I mean, we have so many children in the foster care system here. I mean, but who's counting, right? Who's concerned? But, when you pay taxes and you're so concerned about how your tax dollars are being spent, but you're not concerned about how the public services that we provide affect the people who look like you, because you don't vote. It is criminal, as we cannot step up and say, oh, Black Lives Matter, but I just don't vote. It don't work like that. Pimping ain't easy, but I always say, goddamn, somebody's got to do it, right? If pimping ain't easy, but somebody's got to do it. So it's happening in 2021. It's apparent that we don't know who we are. But until you know who you are, you can't stand up and say, this is unacceptable. And it is truly unacceptable. My call to action is to every black person, born a black person, to understand that we're not managing the children who are coming through the public education system. And yes, our children are saying Black Lives Matter. But they only matter if you're going to have a voice in the outcomes of the maintenance of the public services that are being provided locally across America. So we do have a Black Caucus, and we have NAACP, and we have all these other organizations that claim and proclaim to do advocacy. But yet and still, when you can't join one of those organizations and understand how the flow of power works within a community, and they're not teaching, burdensome is what I find. And you don't have to ask permission for a private organization to speak. They should want to have and ensure that your concerns are met. But when people just get in the front and have this thing with standing in the front of the crowd when they're not saying anything, it's concerning, because failure is not an option. But we have far too many African American children who are dying in America because we're not measuring the maintenance of effort. And I'm just saying, somebody's got to do it. So why not you? E pluribus unum. Out of many there's one, but out of one there'll be none. So who will you be in 2021? Please like, subscribe, and follow me. I'm on Anchor on my Parent Empowerment Hour. But this is just conversation. The real work begins when you decide that whatever your life's journey has been is relevant. And we need to ensure that our children have access to basic services. As American citizens, it's personal responsibility. So we have far too many people that pay good taxes who have good employment in Las Vegas, but yet and still their voices are not heard. Do you pay taxes just to pay? Because really, you're paying for the lifestyles of the rich and famous, as they pay themselves very well. It's the problem that our people are not benefiting from the very well-paid jobs. That's the reality. Until we meet again, this is Darlene Ernest saying like, subscribe, and follow, and share. Share, share, share.